everybody. It's Monday, November 2nd, and that means it's time for another episode of Chatting with Agnes and Cecilia. Thanks for joining us this week. I'm one of your co-hosts, Cecilia. I am the principal and founder of Rogue Tulips Nonprofit Consulting. We work exclusively with nonprofit organizations of all types. And I'm here today with my friend and co-host, Agnes Amos Coleman. Let me throw it over to Agnes to say hello.
Thank you, Cecilia. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our global audience. My name is Agnes Amos Coleman. I'm an author and a consultant. Over to you, Cecilia.
Thanks, Agnes. And we are so excited today. We have as our guest, Lesedi Lesetedi, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Corporate Services at Botswana Open University. She's also got a lot of experience as a volunteer leader at nonprofit organizations, specifically at the Institute of Internal Auditors, where she is the former international secretary of their executive committee and is currently serving under Global Advocacy Committee, as well as a few other groups within Botswana that she's been working with. Welcome, Lesedi.
Oh, thank you so much, Cecilia. And greetings to you and Agnes from my lovely country, Botswana, here in Africa. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, well, we're just so happy you're here with us. And today we're talking with Lesedi about the opportunities and challenges that are confronting all of us during COVID-19. And Lesedi has some unique viewpoints being within academia and being an active nonprofit leader. So Lesedi, what are your thoughts about the challenges of COVID-19?
Thank you, Cecilia. You know, I want to start by indicating that where I work now for my permanent job as the Deputy Vice Chancellor Corporate Services, I service the university for the non-academic affairs. So I cover functions like human resources, IT, corporate relations and marketing, finance, procurement, office services and infrastructure. And those who would agree with me, there are services that currently in the COVID-19 situation, they must up their game to do what is right. So that's why I'm able to look at this holistically, not only from the negative side, because when you speak COVID-19, people think of the effects which are not so good, we all know, but there are also opportunities out there from the challenges. I'm saying this from the first-hand experience, and I want to start with one that is close to my heart, being the human resource, the personnel, because COVID affects people. You would agree with me in that. So you will note that COVID gave us an opportunity to do things differently. Here in Botswana, we call it the new normal. It is the COVID and probably the future. So most of the organizations have been running in a more traditional way, particularly in the third world country here, but they have since changed because things now are called to be done in a more contemporary manner of the 21st century. For example, the working at home. We did the same even with my university, where we recognized that to adhere to the government protocols, we need to look onto our employees' working conditions. So we quickly came with a policy for working at home. And I want to say to you that brought lots of benefits that we never thought about before. So I don't know if you want to allow me to state a few of those, which I believe is great opportunities that people can leverage and promote for the future. Cecilia, I don't know if I should go ahead and talk about all these benefits of working at home for our employees.
No, we would love to hear your perspective of working at home because in the U.S. we've been talking about that as well. So yes, let's talk about that. That's a great topic.
Oh, good. Oh, fantastic. Because one thing with the working at home is that people are not at work physically where they're supervised by their body. Now you have to maybe supervise by output where you agree plans with your employees. And after those plans within particular particular time frames. So you would know that this builds or promote relationship because now there's an element of trust. The supervisor trusts the team that they will deliver. So that in a way motivates staff because now they have to drive themselves. And in it also comes the other things like flexi hours. You know, as employees, we prefer working at different times. You might be more productive at night, or you want to wake up early and do your work. So now those things are introduced because now employees work more flexible, and you save even time. If you have been coming from maybe somewhere where you take time to go to your workplace, now that time you can use for other things. For example, you can exercise in the morning, and that improves your health, that reduces your stress. So those are some of the benefits that are coming with that working at home. You know, and also maybe on the social side, some of the employees really, their schedule is so hectic that they will leave early in the morning, go home when it's late, and they don't have time to balance their work and life, their social life. So now with COVID, you see that has improved significantly because now you have time to sit with your family, you are around most of the time. So the children are happy to see their parents around. So really one would say COVID has made us recognize very important things that we never knew before that are so critical in one's life.
That's just a great insight and observation. And it's, again, an example of how much all humans have in common, because we're seeing the same thing in the United States.
Yes.
About that, being able to spend time with our families more,
Family.
to use that time. Now, I'd love to hear Agnes's view on this topic, because Agnes and I met when we both worked at a completely virtual organization. And so we're very familiar with this style of work and flexibility. So Agnes, what are your thoughts?
I think the great thought process on the opportunities that is, and I like you to talk about the challenges that's involved. I know that for when we were working remotely, there's some of the areas that we had already anticipated, things like communication and contingency plan. And I really like to get your thought on that process of some of the challenges that that's evolving actually, because this is all new to all of us. So we'd like to hear your take on it, and not just the challenges that are evolving, but the challenges that you're anticipating, and how we can better manage some of those challenges.
Yes, I like it, Agnes, when you talk about that, because the new norm now is about doing things virtually. And doing things virtually, what does that mean? It means improvement in your communication infrastructure, that is IT, as well as maybe your networks. You know, people should be very networked where they are able to connect. So it's a challenge at the beginning to the employer, because probably you did not budget for that, particularly where you need to aid your employees at the homes, because you need them to have a conducive working environment, whereby you might need to go an extra mile and connect them. So at the beginning, you might think it's a challenge, but for a university like mine, it's an open and distance learning institution where our modus operandi is reaching out from people at a space. So that way, one would say the COVID was an opportunity for us to fasten, because in our strategic plan, we wanted to have that digital flagship. So probably we planned it into the future, not like now. So now COVID brought it forward, because we had to look at the employees and connect them. Those who already were connected, maybe you need to enhance the network, or you even need maybe to pay them allowances. So that in a way, I would say is a motivator to now the employee, because it improves the remuneration package. So now they see you as an employer of choice. So we never before maybe so much looked onto that at the home space. You were more concerned in the physical space at the workplace. So to me, I would say it brings the organization to be more contemporary. We are now in the 21st century. Things are done very differently. they're contemporary, they're robust. So now with COVID, each and every employer is looking at that, because employees, these are the questions they're asking. If you tell them, I give you work to do at home, they will tell you, how do I do it? How are you facilitating me to enable me to produce as you so wish? So yes, at the beginning you are saying, where do I get the money? How do I enable everyone? So that is where the challenge is coming from. But if you look at the end of it, what it will bring forth is a benefit not only to the employee, but even to you, the employer and the organization. Yeah.
That's great.
Well, I
You
love
know,
that.
And I wanted, if you allow me, Cecilia and Agnes, I wanted to say, I want to speak even more in the context of where I am in the university here. Previously,
Yes.
maybe we were doing things blended, one would say, whereby, for example, the examinations for the students or the learners, they would sometimes gather in masses in a particular physical space. And for them to do that, you would have hired these facilities, you would have hired the chairs for them to sit. Now that we have changed the style because of the COVID, they can now write their exams online. We are doing summative tests whereby examinations are online, and it saves the organization significantly. So there's this opportunity of cost containment of the organization, because now those monies, you can put them for other use, for other opportunities forgone. We are even going as far as for the graduations that are being done virtually. You can see now the new norm is quite differently from how things were done in the traditional way. So to me, those are opportunities to be more robust, to be more current, to be more relevant. You would agree with me that particularly in the learning institutions, it is the millennia, the young ones, who do things very differently from how we're doing them. If maybe for me and you, I remember when I did my introduction to computers was when I was a tertiary in the university. But now my daughter did that when she's at preschool. They started even when they're toddlers to press your smart gadgets and all that. So aligning to that way of life, to me, is something to write home about. It's a great opportunity for the world, for the organization, for the employers to do things in that style. It's a new norm.
Absolutely.
Yes. You know, and even though Agnes asked you to talk about challenges, Lesedi, you still said it in such a positive way. You see nothing but opportunity. I love that. I love that. So,
And you know, go ahead,
go ahead.
Cecilia.
No, you go ahead, Agnes.
I was just going to say, given your leadership role within the non-for-profit organization, you've held some really remarkable roles, and you've seen how the non-for-profit world operates. What are some of your advice and thought process that you can share with our audience, who are predominantly, associations,
Yes.
small, medium, and large? What are some of the thought process that you can share with them?
Thank you so much, Agnes, because when you talk about that, when you talk about non-profit organizations, when you talk about professional bodies, most of those are international. And international, it means that dealing with memberships from across the globe, and from different contexts and from different spaces, from different level of development in those countries. So you see what COVID is doing. It is making us a global village, whereby it's even addressing issues of technological divide, whereby even those countries that maybe were left behind, like the developing countries, I mean, even at national level, not only at organizational level, they now have to look at their policies and see how they facilitate and support the people in their country to make sure now they fit in onto this new world that is being dictated. I see, like, for example, in my country recently, they were introducing free Wi-Fi at public places, whereby anybody can access within a day for an hour or so. So those things were not there before. So one would say, okay, maybe they were in the pipelines and in the plans, but the question is, when were they going to be done? Now with the COVID, now everyone sees the need to introduce them like yesterday. Yes.
That's right. Well,
So I would say now to the these professional bodies to say, this is the time for them to seize this space. I mean, for them, I don't think is something one would say is so new. I compare them to where I work in my university, which is an open and distance learning entity. So it means now we have a competitive advantage. They've been there already dealing with these nations across the world. Now, what do? They should show they've been there before. So all they need to do is to tighten and enhance what they've been doing. Because you will agree with me that for them, these things of working at home, doing ABC, improving your connectivity, this has been things that have been there even before the COVID. So this is the time for them now to be leaders in that space, because those who are, these things are new to them, are coming with full force. I've seen when I compare to the industrial universities again, conventional universities, you know, previously they were more promoting the classroom setup teaching, but they're now doing it online as well. So for us who have been doing it, what are we doing differently, you know, to show we have been in that space? So it's the same with those non-profit organizations. They've been dealing with members internationally, so they should be at the lead. Let them show they've been in that space. That is what I can advise to them. They should be upfront.
That's great. Well, I hate to say it, Lesedi, this is such a fantastic conversation, but we're out of time already. The problem with doing short episodes, but this has been so great, and we will definitely be inviting you back next year.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
Great. So,
thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you. And just closing thoughts, we'll ask Agnes for a closing thought, and then you, Lesedi, and then we'll ask you how people can get in touch with you before we sign up. Agnes?
Again, I just want to echo some of your thoughts. I think it's wonderful for sharing that. You are right. Our members are already playing in this space internationally, but we were not thinking about COVID. We were just playing in it, and we don't even recognize that we're doing it. And to your point, I think this is an opportunity for us to take a step back and really enhance that connectivity, that communication, that contingency plan, that recovery plan that we've already put in place, and just enhancing it to align with the COVID recovery. So thank you so much for opening our minds to that thought process.
Yes, and pointing out that we already had these options before the pandemic, and now we should be in the forefront. So Lesedi, very quickly, what's your one closing thought, and then how can people get in touch with you if they'd like to talk with you?
Yes. I want to just quickly say people should leverage on the human resource. Most employers tend to focus more on the hard side of the organization. But I think in this period, the COVID and the post, the soft are very important. Your organizational culture, your people. So really look onto that. Otherwise, you will be taken out of space. For people to reach me, I'm connected on LinkedIn. If you just Google and check Lesedi Lesetedi, you'll find me. But my email as well is lmlesetedi@yahoo.com.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. So if you would like to connect with Lesedi, you can find her online. And unfortunately, we have to go rogue for now. We'll be back next week with another episode. If you'd like to learn more about Rogue Tulips, check out our website, roguetulips.com. We have a new resources page with resources that will help all nonprofits, or at least be of interest to you. We also would like to encourage you to check out the 501c League, which is a virtual membership organization for everybody in the nonprofit community and the people who love them. Until next time, we're going rogue. We'll see you then. Thanks again, Lesedi, and thank you, Agnes.
Thank you so much.
You.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.